So welcome everyone, and thanks for joining our Autumnal Yin themed class. I've teamed up with Jilla Active, who I'm a brand ambassador for. When you are ready, first just to start, if you haven't done Yin Yoga before and you haven't already got them, bring your cushions, blankets, bolsters, blocks, because you really want to get cozied into this practice. So I'll just give you a few moments to grab those things if you haven't already. And if you don't have bolsters or blocks and those yoga equipments, you can also use a pillow. I used to use a pillow rolled up into a blanket for a bolster, which was quite nice. Throughout the practice, I'll probably remind you of the 3 principles of Yin that I like to focus on. One is finding that safe space where you feel safe to settle in. So if you imagine a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being where it's super comfy, super sleepy, you feel really comfortable and you can fall asleep. 10 being where your body feels like it's really uncomfortable, it's going to snap, you can't breathe, you don't go anywhere near there, you're going to aim for about a 4 on that intensity scale. And once you've found that edge, you're exploring to hold and be still in that space. And then when you're holding, you're starting to slowly deepen your breath. And the intention is, as we come into autumn, is to slow ourselves down. Settling in to slow down, maybe finding stillness or your version of stillness within this practice today. So when you're ready and everyone's got all their things, we're going to start in child's pose. So starting in child's pose, I'll make my way to my mat as well. We're going to bring the big toes together. Knees draw out to the side. You can have your knees out as wide as the mat, hip width, or knees together. Feel free to stretch your arms forward. Maybe rest your arms on your head on your arms, folded arms. If the ground feels too far away, you can also use your block or cushion as well. And it doesn't matter if your hips don't sit all the way back. Just find a space that feels comfortable for you. So get yourself settled into that child's pose. Alright, so as we begin to settle in child's pose, maybe just first noticing how it feels to settle into something still. How it feels for your knees to bend, your hips to sit back, your arms to either extend forward or bent. And we're coming into those 3 key principles that I mentioned. Finding a space that you feel safe to settle in. Allowing your head to rest as well. So if you need to pop a block or cushion underneath your head, feel free to do so. As we find a space where we can settle, we resolve to be still, or finding that version of stillness, where we can start to relax and surrender the body, as we can start to let go of our day. As we breathe, as we hold, surrendering your head lower than your heart, surrendering your busy mind for maybe a busy day. Just noticing where you could relax into, surrender that little bit more. Releasing the back from any tension. Eyebrows, as the head might rest onto the floor, onto that block. Softening that space in between the eyebrows. Relaxing the arms. As we arrive into our practice with the theme of autumn, surrendering, slowing down, letting go. And you might observe this in nature where we see the trees, turning yellow, orange, red. And those trees ready to release the leaves, ready to start to slow down, to prepare for hibernation in the winter. As we enter a new season, a new chapter, we invite ourselves to let go, to create space for the new. Taking your time, we take a full breath in and out. Very gently taking your time to unravel or release out of that child's pose. It might feel quite nice to guide yourself up, and maybe you bring the knees to face back forward, tucking the toes and just gently rocking back and forth. Just bring a bit of movement, as within yin practice it's quite common to feel stiff as we're maybe not used to holding the poses for that long. So you might give a bit of movement there, but we are going to come back into a version of child's pose in a second. When you are ready, we're going to start to again sit those hips back, either big toes together, knees out wide. I'm going to opt to take the knees out as wide as the mat. From there, we're going to thread that right arm through and landing the head and shoulders to the ground. So coming into that child's pose twist. If the ground feels a bit far away, you can always use a pillow to prop your head on top of. And with that left hand, feel free to watch first. That left hand can either stay on the ground, maybe you'd like to be a bit more active with it, reaching the arms forward. Maybe you wrap the arm around, resting onto your back, or maybe hooking into the inside of your right thigh. But taking your time to settle into your version of a twisted child's pose. And again, as you settle in, noticing where your edge is, so that intensity of 4 on that scale of 1 to 10. Within that intensity of 4, it feels safe for us to soften, release. If you're finding that you're fighting with your body, perhaps that variation is too intense, you can always come out of the twist. And we're going to be here for 1.5 minutes. I'm going to do 1.5 minutes on each side. And as we find that child's pose twist, the resolve to be still. And as we find that sense of stillness, can we slow our breath down? As we breathe in, as we breathe out, noticing what may feel different with each breath. Noticing and honoring what feels alive in your body right now. And please, any issues with the shoulders, feel free to come out of that twist. So remembering that everything that I offer in this practice is an invitation. And if it doesn't suit your body, do listen. Listen to your body. So coming up to that 1.5 minutes. So in your own time, we'll take a full deep breath in. And a deep breath all the way out. Taking your time. We'll guide ourselves back through to the center. And then let's take it over, straight over to the other side. So that left arm threads through. Head rests onto the cushion. Again, your arms might be placed beside your face. You might reach your arms out. You might wrap the arm around so that the back of the hand rests onto your back. Or you might hook the inside of your left thigh. And maybe already noticing here What feels new? What feels different? Attending to your other side of the body. What is starting to feel very alive in your body? As we hold, as we breathe. And with each breath out, the invitation is this space to soften a bit more. And it's okay if you're feeling that you can't surrender to that. That might be an indication that you're past that edge, past that 4 on that scale of 1 to 10. And if you are new to Yin Yoga, that it is a practice finding that 4. So don't worry if you're not really sure where that is as well. Hi, so we're coming up to that 1.5 minutes now. Taking your time, we'll take a full breath in and out. Gently bringing that right hand back down if you've lifted it, peeling yourself back through to the center. And we'll rock it into all 4s where the knees are placed underneath the hips. Hands underneath the shoulders. Releasing the toes as we inhale, lift the tailbone, broadening the chest to look forward. And exhale, rounding the back to draw the belly button in. I'm going to invite you to take cat-cow in your own pace. Just inviting a bit of movement again after being still, holding in the postures. It's quite common to feel stiff in your body. As we come out of each target posture, we come into a space of rebound, and this is that invitation for rebound. Whether you're moving or being still, notice what feels new in your body after visiting those variations of child's pose. Nice. And we are going to be staying on the knees, so any issues with the knees or feels very uncomfortable, do feel free to pad your knees with a cushion or folding your mat up. Okay, when you're ready, let's start to make our way into our next pose. So hips are about, knees are about hip width apart. And then we're going to walk the hands forward, sending the hips up. So you might aim for hips stacked on top of knees, but since this is Yin, we're not so focused on the posture. It might feel too intense for your shoulders, so you might sit those hips back a bit. As we come into what you might know as puppy pose, but in Yin Yoga, we call this heart melting pose, or melting heart. And as you come into melting heart, it is that the posture, the name, is that invitation to melt the heart towards the ground, really starting to open up through the arm lines, shoulders, releasing tension through shoulders from upper back. And again, you're finding that right intensity where you are able to let go. So if you're feeling that you're kind of teetering, trying to balance and hold yourself up, then perhaps you might shift the hips back slightly. Feel free to use your props as well underneath you to support you. As we hold and as we breathe here for about 2 minutes. Breathing deep into belly, chest. And each breath out, an invitation to soften that little bit more. Surrender the chest to the ground a little bit more. We're already over halfway. As you take your time, we'll take 3 full deep breaths here, breathing in. And you might part the lips, breathing all the way out. And very gently, as you guide yourself out, pressing through the hands, lifting yourself up. Go and give you a choice of movement or stillness for your rebound. So you might come back into cow and cat pose if you maybe feel a bit stiff and you want to take movement. You can also go side, center to side. Or you might come to lie all the way on your front, taking the elbows out, feet maybe about mat width. Or if you're not using a mat, about shoulder width. And maybe you place the face to the side or forehead rested onto your hands into crocodile pose. So choice is yours. Choose to move, choose to be still. As you come into our rebound, and in this space, I invite you to be sensitive to your body. Notice what sensations feel alive right now. Notice what's going on, what feels alive, what feels quite sore, spacious. Nice, and we'll take a couple more breaths in, either your still or moving rebound. And when you're ready, we'll all start to meet lying on our front as we start to make our way to Sphinx Pose. So as we come onto our front, we're going to place the elbows underneath the shoulders and palms to face down. Feet might shuffle in about hip width. And you might stay there. That might be your 4 on that scale of 1 to 10. That might be too intense, so you might walk your arms forward. Likewise, you might use 2 blocks or your bolster to place underneath your forearms to raise yourself up into a deeper back bend. If you don't want too much intensity in the arms, you can wedge that bolster underneath your chest, underneath your rib cage, so there's less weight onto the arms. And these are all suggestions, so feel free to have a play around with them. Feel free to not do them as well. And if you've got a block or a cushion, you might use that to rest your head on top of as well. So you're just going to have a little play around, figure out what feels safe for you to surrender, figure out what feels at your 4 on that scale of 1 to 10. Surrendering your body as we breathe, as we hold. And that invitation, once we arrive, to be still. And then the intention of finding that slowing down or stillness is that in Yin we want to really let go of the muscle tension. As we let go of muscle tension, we're surrendering and starting to apply that pressure to the joints, to the fascia, which is a connected or a network that connects our whole body together and holds our body together. It interweaves into our organs and our muscles and our tendons. And because it's different tissue to the muscles, it needs different work. It needs this holding and this stillness and that gentle pressure or tension. So each breath out, is there anywhere that you could let go of that little bit more? Even from the tips of the fingers, the jaw, the space in between the eyebrows. all those micro tensions in your body. Where does it feel safe to surrender? Where does it feel safe to let go? Taking your time, your 3 final breaths here. In your own time. Inviting yourself to remove any props. Take those elbows out wide. And maybe if you're placing the face to the side, you're placing it to the opposite side, maybe that you didn't visit before, or forehead rested onto the hands. Maybe you're shuffling the bum side to side, or taking the feet out, mat width, or as wide as the shoulders. Inviting you to come into stillness lying on your front, into crocodile pose. Rebounding here to notice what feels new, what feels alive in your body right now. And taking your time. You might choose to stay here with this stillness, or your version of. You might choose to guide yourself back into all fours, where you return to maybe taking movements, cat-cow, side to side, maybe tuck the toes under, rock back and forth. Maybe you would even like to visit a downward dog. Choice is yours. I invite you to take any movement or stillness that your body needs right now. Noticing areas of stiffness, and it's very common in Yin Yoga to feel that stiffness as we're working on different tissue in our body. We're holding postures that one you may have never visited before or held that long before. Nice. Taking your time wherever you're at right now. We're going to start to meet sitting on our bums and the legs extended out. As we extend the legs out, I'm going to give you the option of a forward fold. So you might take knees bent, folding forwards there, letting the head go. You might choose to extend your legs out more. Maybe you'd like to roll up a blanket wedge underneath your legs, pop your bolster underneath your thighs. Maybe you extend your legs out more, taking it into a fold. Whichever option you choose, again, making sure that you're at your 4, that you feel safe to surrender. Surrendering, releasing of any tension. As we breathe, as we hold here for about 1 minute, letting go of shoulders, letting go of neck, head, the space in between the eyebrows. Nice. As we're coming up to that minute now, we'll take a full deep breath in and a deep breath out. Very gently as you inhale, we'll slowly crawl up as head comes up last. And you might notice how it feels to come up to that upright position, noticing how your spine feels. You might take neck rolls or neck side to side. Maybe it might feel nice to take some shoulder shrugs, just noticing the experience of your body right now. And taking your time, when you're ready, we're going to source either that bolster, cushion, rolled up blanket, whatever you have with you. As we place that behind us, we're going to come into a supported fish. Oh, if you have a block as well, you might use a block. So if you're using a block, you're going to use it vertically. Same if you're using a bolster, or if you want to use it horizontal, if you've got a bolster, you can as well. But I'm going to place that vertically, so it goes alongside your mat. And then you place that so it aims for your upper part of your back. So placing that down, you're going to wriggle yourself onto, lower yourself onto your prop of choice. Placing that so it lands or is placed underneath your upper part of your back. So where your organs are protected by your rib cage, you want that place where your rib cage is. Upper back, shoulders, maybe if you're using a block, you might use another block or a cushion underneath your head. And then your legs extend out, and you might have the toes to face out, palms to face up. As you settle into supported fish, we'll be here for about 3 minutes. With the invitation of that opening up that front body space. And at the same time, that release of any tension through shoulders, neck, throat, jaw, head. As the front body space is open, I invite you to focus in on your belly, chest, your breathing. As we resolve to be still here, noticing the breath flowing in, maybe through the nose or the throat, or the mouth, sorry, down the throat, expansion of lungs. And as you breathe out, a sense of softening or release, air flows out, back the way it came in. And maybe you notice a temperature difference there. Each breath out, an invitation to surrender, to release, releasing of any resistance, releasing of any tension, releasing of any hold, as you surrender to open up. Nice. As we're coming up to that 3-minute mark now, taking your last breath here, fully breathing in and all the way out. Taking your time, gently inviting you to draw those knees out to the side, opening the hips, coming to that reclined bound angle. If this feels too much, you can again extend the legs out. Maybe just noticing the invitation to open up hips. Where there is tension held that you feel safe enough to let go. And we take 3 final breaths here. No rush. Taking your time as we guide, using our hands, guiding the knees in. Feet to the ground, knees bent. Palms to face down, lifting the head as you start to guide yourself up. You might choose to roll over to the side or come all the way up to seated to remove of any props that you've got underneath you, just depending on how high you prop that up. And then gently landing yourself down onto the mat. As you land yourself down, you might stay still there, you might choose to hug your knees in, rock side to side. As we come into our reclined twist, your next inhale will open the arms into a T-shape, palms to face up. So the arms are going to land onto the ground. Feet together, knees bent. As you press through the feet, let's lift the hips up, just scoot them slightly to the left, and then knees go all the way to the right. So that's press through the feet, lift hips and scoot hips to left, knees to right. And you might choose to look to your left side. So we're coming into that reclined twist with the knees to the right. It's up to you, you can adjust your hips again if you need to. You can use cushions, blocks underneath your thighs, underneath your legs to support you in that twist. And as we hold and as we breathe, the invitation to come into that spinal twist. Holding here for about 1.5 minutes. Noticing the breath flowing in, expansion at the chest. As you breathe out, where could you soften? Surrendering the shoulders, surrendering the legs. Is there any support that you need there? But inviting your body to completely let go. As you come up to that 1.5 minutes, taking your last breath here. Gently bringing your head back to the center, the top leg back to the center, and the other leg follows. Placing the feet back down again, you might recenter yourself. Maybe you stay there a moment, or you might go straight into the other side, hips scoot to right, knees to the left. And you might look towards that right hand, or the right side. And taking your time to make your way into that spinal twist on the other side. Noticing maybe instantly how that side may feel different. Feel free to readjust and take your cushions to the other side as well. Here for about a minute and a half. Nice, and as we come up to that minute and a half, we take our last breath here. Taking your time as you gently guide your head back through to center. As you guide the top leg, other leg back through to center. Taking your time, you might recenter yourself there, hugging in the knees, maybe rocking side to side or being still. Choice is yours. And taking this opportunity to take anything else that your body might need right now. Tuning in, listening to honor what your body needs. And that could be anything that we visit already throughout the practice. It could be your favorite pose. It could be starting to prepare yourself in for our Shavasana, our extended Shavasana. And as you do start to get more comfortable, I'd invite you to bring a pillow or a blanket to place on top of you, maybe to turn down the big lights. As you get settled in for your relaxation. Just noticing anything that you need right now that could offer you further relaxation. For anyone wearing glasses, sometimes it feels quite nice to take those glasses off. And anyone with any discomfort in the lower back to lie flat on the ground, you can always wedge your bolster underneath your thighs. Or you can roll your blanket up or pop a cushion underneath there. So it goes underneath your thighs, underneath your knees, and that might take any pressure from the lower back, so you can take that option as well. As I invite you to come into our final rebound, our final pose. Neutral Shavasana, lying on the ground. You might place hands onto belly. You might have the palms to face up. Taking your time to settle on in. Perhaps noticing in your final rebound what feels new, what feels alive, what's maybe starting to fall asleep. What is surrendering, softening? As I invite you to give yourself permission, time to let go. Surrendering your body to the earth. A time for rest. A time for surrender. A time for relaxation. As we join now into the season of autumn, letting go, surrendering of what no longer serves us anymore, creating space for a new chapter, a new season. As the leaves fall from the trees, we are reminded that we can't always be full, that there is a time to let go of everything. The trees free itself and returns to emptiness, ready to begin that cycle again. Nature gives us that instruction to also slow down, to let go of what is stale, what no longer serves us, and start to turn inwards. In slowing down, I find stillness. And in stillness, I let go of any resistance. As I relax, allowing the processing to begin, shedding, I release of what no longer serves me. You let your body surrender to the ground, to the earth, letting your body spread like a beautiful quilt, emptying of any muscular tension, like we've been doing throughout our practice. As we let go of feet and legs and hips, as we feel the weight of the bones heavy, letting go of our back and shoulders, arms and hands. Feel the weight of the bones heavy. Letting go of your head and the back of the head. Releasing of jaw, eyeballs, eyelids. Feeling your organs sink to the back of your body, slowing down, preparing for rest. As if you were autumn leaves falling, falling, falling. Feeling yourself floating downwards. Earthbound, relaxed. Feeling your bones heavy, relaxing. Gently starting to bring your awareness into your still, relaxed body. Noticing areas of heaviness. Noticing areas of contact with pillow, blankets, ground. You might notice your breath flowing in and out. And the invitation, as you deeply breathe in and out, guiding yourself back. Noticing that movement of body as you take deeper breaths in and out. And as that breath allows you to lighten the body a little, you might invite movement to fingers, movement to toes, a gentle rock of the head, side to side. And in your own time, as you invite movement to your body, noticing your body in space, you might start to stretch the arms and stretch the legs, taking a full body stretch. You might then hug the knees in and give yourself a big squeeze and hug. Noticing how it feels to move after being still, and maybe you choose to rock side to side and roll over to the right. Maybe use your right arm as a pillow. Just noticing that shift from lying on your back, maybe to the side, to very gently bring yourself up when you are ready to come up into a comfortable seat. Coming up to seated with the palms at the center of the chest. As we close our practice, noticing that shift now to seated, recalibrating that shift in weight. Arriving into our evening as we close our practice, we'll inhale together, circling the arms up. Exhale, hands down through the center. Namaste. Good evening. Thank you everyone for joining practice.